Thank you. It's really, really great to be back. And I jumped down the rabbit hole to think about what I was going to talk today. And in my business, we have all these systems to create inspiration. And I know that sounds really weird, like a system to get inspired. But if you work with me, I have like 10 million ideas every second of the day. And if I don't have some way to track that, I'll lose it. And I'll lose it at the very moment that I sit down to create something with it. Or I'll have 10 million half-finished projects because I'll get so excited about the next thing. So when I sat down to think about what I was going to talk to today, I pulled up our system that we have that tracks all my ideas, and I was like, well, what's showing up over and over and over? And it was abundance and prosperity. And so I wrote this whole talk about prosperity and abundance and my process that I call the Sustained Abundance Mindset, which I am still going to talk to you about. And I thought, this is nice, I guess. And I was like, something is missing here, but I couldn't exactly put my finger on it. So I just thought, this'll have to do. And then as I was traveling up here, I realized what was missing from it. And I think there are two things that were missing from it that I hope I have repaired. The first is that it didn't really move us post-secret. And one of the things with abundance and prosperity is that people tend to go, I'm visualizing really, really hard about what I really, really want, and then if it doesn't show up, they feel like they failed, or they feel like they've done something unspiritual, like they didn't just put enough glitter on their vision board or something. So the first thing is that we need something to move us, I think, deeper, and to really move us beyond the secret. The second thing was that I had written this whole talk about prosperity and about abundance that really included no connection to why these things are important to me. And I hope over the course of this talk to pull back the curtain a little bit into my life and share with you why I think prosperity and abundance is so important. One of the reasons is that it affects everything. It's not just about money. It's not just about material things. It also impacts the relationships that you have in your life, the way that you experience the world, how much kindness, happiness, love, and joy that you have in your life and that you have in your heart. And so I hold these things very, very deeply. Here's the thing about abundance that means so much to me and the thing that I'm proudest of in my life. You have to hold on to it and be able to see it when it's not immediately evident in your life. And I have been through some seriously dark times in my life, some seriously broke times in my life, I can't even tell you, some seriously depressed times in my life, but the one thing that I never lost sight of was my vision. And so even on those really, really hard days, I was able to put one foot in front of the other. Now sometimes all I had was enough abundance to, take my next breath or take my next step, but holding on to what I energetically wanted to create in my life allowed me to really move through all of those moments. And when I think about how I grew up, being raised in a trailer by a single mom to where I am now, that's success for me. That's success for me, where I was at versus where I am now. And the thing was, it's not that I'm so much better where I am now. Those experiences enabled me to get to where I am now. So I want to share with you a little bit about how you can really live abundance in your life. Abundance is just a unit of measurement, actually. We have very positive associations with the word, right? We tend to think of money, we tend to think of joy, we tend to think of happiness, we tend to think of kindness. But abundance is simply a unit of measurement. So you can have an abundance of struggle in your life. You can have an abundance of making things hard for yourself. You can have an abundance of lack. You can have an abundance of poverty consciousness. And that's when most people don't really succeed in the most powerful ways at manifesting, because they take 2 seconds out to visualize something positive, and then they reinforce the abundance of bitterness, anger, rage, lack, victimhood, whatever it might be. So I hope that I'll give you a process today that will move you through that, and And the thing is, nothing is too big or too small for you to ask the universe for help with. And so nothing is too big or too small for you to apply these principles to. I think sometimes we break everything up into, oh, that's too big, it's impossible that something could change here, or that's too small, I couldn't possibly, consistently apply right thinking to deal with that. And so in that process, then we end up not consistently applying the right principles. Let me tell you a little bit about how I got to where I am today. So I've had 3 evolutions in my business, and what abundance has meant to me at each of those different stages of my business. And for me, my life, because the way that I live my life is so intimately wrapped up in the work that I do and in the service that I offer. So in the first evolution of my business, I just did psychic readings for people. That was it. I'd been psychic since I was really little and lost somebody in my life, and through that experience, I felt called to serve on a little bit bigger level. And so I went out there, I hung up my shingle, my virtual shingle on my website, and I started offering readings to people. And abundance for me at this point really was not about money. It really wasn't about any type of professional recognition. Like abundance for me at this point was just people not thinking I had totally lost my mind. That's really all it was. It was nothing more. I never ever thought about traveling. I never thought about really making money. Abundance for me was just proving that I could do, that I said I could, that I could do what I said I could do. That was it. So what happened? Well, I proved that, and then I was like, why am I not getting more in my life? Why are all these other things not coming in? Of course they weren't, because I hadn't asked for them. I hadn't built the energetic foundation for any other prosperity or any other abundance to come in. So I started to get really, really tired. I had an abundance of clients, but people started asking me questions like, how can I use my intuition to make my life better? How can I practically apply spirituality to make my life better? And saying, oh, you could come back for another session with me, it kind of limited us. So in the second evolution of my business, I kind of stepped up. I started teaching. I started talking about how you could connect to your intuition. And here's the thing about intuition: if you are stuck or struggling or frustrated in your life, it's because you are not listening to what your soul's telling you. It just is. There is some authenticity or some honesty within yourself that you either cannot face or you are refusing to face. And so intuition is so powerful. So if you feel stuck, stagnant, frustrated, there is some message that your soul has for you that can lead you out of that, or that can move you beyond that. And abundance for me in this space was absolutely about helping people. It was absolutely about being in service. Abundance in this space was also about finances. I really wanted to leave my other job in a nonprofit that I had. So there were kind of material concerns. I wanted to travel. I wanted to see the world. And it was service-based, but it was service insofar as I was helping the people who came to me. Wasn't much beyond there. I wasn't really connected to my big why or my big vision for why I did the work, which led me to my third iteration, because all those people that I taught how to use their intuition came back and said, well, I know how to use this, and now I feel called to bring it to the world in a deeper way. Can you help me build a business? Because spiritual people oftentimes are not that receptive to hardcore sales and marketing consultants and coaches. And I thought, sure, I can share with you what I've done to build a profitable business. And when I stepped up and did this, my mission became so much bigger than just one-to-one help, because now people were getting the training that they needed to actually go out in the world and make a bigger difference and carry on some of the core messages of transformation that I cared about. And also, as I elevated my business and grew my business, I was able to be more generous with my family. The causes and campaigns that I cared about deeply, one of them is eliminating bullying in our society, and I mean that across levels, because there are adult bullies. But I think especially in school, so it allowed me to get connected to the fact that being a conscious entrepreneur, and in fact just being a conscious citizen of this planet, requires requires you to do something about needless suffering. So you can see how abundance really stretched and expanded, but every future step incorporated the steps that had come before. Because I needed an abundance of self-confidence in order to be able to help an abundance of people, and I needed to help that abundance of people in order to step into the role that I'm now in. So it's always important to be stretching your vision and expanding your vision, and not be afraid to course correct your vision. You won't have authentic abundance in your life if you're not connected to your vision. You won't, because you will be on the abundance roller coaster. You'll get some good, but you won't think you're worth it, or you'll sabotage it, or you won't hold it in some way. And most of us have many visions for our life, right? We may have a broad vision, the kind of planet we want to live on. We may have a vision for our relationship. We may have a vision for our checking account. We may have a vision for our physical appearance, right? But I know that, you wouldn't be in this audience if you didn't have a bigger vision, if you didn't have a bigger vision. And so I want you to just think about what your vision is as we go through this process. And here, you'll know it's your vision because three things will be true about it. It will stir something or move something in you deeply. So when you think about what your vision is, you will feel an emotional connection to it. You'll feel an emotional connection to it. Second is you will have to hustle to get it. It will require courageous action and inspired action to make your vision manifest in your life. And the third thing is you will not create it from your comfort zone. You absolutely will not create it in your comfort zone, because the person you are in your vision needs certain skill sets that are present within you, but that need exercised. So the good thing about a comfort zone is that you can locate yourself firmly outside of it. You can locate yourself firmly outside of it. So you won't achieve your vision from your comfort zone. And we can fall into that, I think, as spiritual people. I can fall into that because I love guided visualization. It really has gotten me through some incredibly difficult times in my life. It's a part of my everyday routine, but it's one piece of bringing my vision into reality. It's one piece of it. I can't visualize and then not call any prospective clients. You can't visualize a perfect relationship and then not communicate with your partner. So you need to move yourself out of whatever is uncomfortable. And the thing is, spiritual practices are the way that you ignite the force within you that allows you to do that. That allows you to move beyond the fear and get into courageous action. You can be afraid and still choose to be courageous. You have a choice about if fear is driving the car, or if a more empowered you is driving the car. Here's how you get out of your comfort zone and hold on to your vision so that you can bring real abundance into your life. Think about your vision, whatever came up for you, whatever thing that you want to create. Okay? And think now not just about what it is, but think about who you are in that vision. What qualities does that person, you, in your vision have that's different from where you're at today? And then apply this principle. Even if I cannot see my vision around me, I can make decisions as if I was that person in my vision. You do not have to wait or ask permission to take courageous action today as if that future person, that idyllic person, is here now. And this is how I make decisions in my life. This is how I make decisions in my relationship. This is how I make decisions in my business. Let me give you an example. So sometimes I fight with my husband, just occasionally. And I think about, after that, the relationship that I want to be in, what I want us to create in our lives. And I think about, well, what would that person do? That person who's in that relationship, what decision would he make that's different than the decision I'm making? One thing is he might own what he did to create the conflict, right? He also might apologize and ask for forgiveness. Or he might say, there's a deeper issue that we really need to resolve and talk about so that we can move forward. I don't need that perfect relationship to be here to do those things. In my business, I can think about the way that the business owner that I want to be makes decisions. And that's to say, is this an opportunity that serves me, and is this an opportunity that serves someone else, and is this opportunity that serves the world? Win-win-win. I can make decisions today as if that business owner is here. That really doesn't have to do what's in my checking account. That really doesn't have to do with anything other than deciding to. This shifted everything for me, because most of us make decisions as if we are the person we were yesterday. And that's what keeps you stuck. That's what keeps you stuck, because you're making decisions from the point of view of a person who no longer exists. See what I mean by that? Because even in 24 hours, you evolve. You've grown. You've changed. You've shifted. You're more capable. So that's why we get stuck. Okay, so I want to teach you my process. I call this a sustained abundance mindset process. And why did I develop this? Well, because I was really good at attracting abundance, but I was not real good at holding abundance. I was not real good at keeping it. Because I didn't believe I was worth it, because I had all of these fears that caused me to sabotage it. So this is the process that I came up with. I've used this process for so many things in my life. Finding my husband, for instance. That is a big one. But I use it for small things too. I use it for small things too. So it really doesn't matter what you want to create. You can use this process. So step one, identify what you need, want, and desire. This is really important. This is the same thing as saying be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. So many people call me and they say, oh, I really want a different job. Okay, and I ask them, what would you like that job to be like? They're like, I don't know, I just want it to be different. And then we'll talk. And what they will come to is that they really don't want a different job at all. What they want to do is launch their own business. Or people will call me and they say, I really want a relationship. I just need a relationship. And we'll get down to it. What they really want is to travel and take some time for themselves and really discover who they are. Okay, so in this first step, you absolutely must be honest with yourself about what you need, what you want, or what you desire to create. And this might be something like, I desire to create a less crappy day than yesterday. You know, really, you can use that process for this. Or it may be something really, really big. Something really, really big. It doesn't matter. So identify whatever you need, want, desire. And you must be totally honest with yourself here. You must be totally, and I think that's really scary. I think that's really scary because what we say is, what if I don't get it? What if I don't get it? And that's what I did for a long time in my abundance work. I would visualize what I want, but I was always keeping it at an emotional distance. Because I was so terrified it wouldn't show up. And then people would think I was a failure. And then I'd look like an idiot because I said I was going to create this. So you must be honest with yourself. If you can't bring it to the world yet, if you can't tell anyone else about it yet, that's okay. People will support you much more than you think. But if you're not there, you're not there. But you do owe it to yourself to be honest in your own heart and in your own mind. Otherwise, it's just a mess. You'll manifest something, but it won't really be in service to you. Or you'll get pieces of it, glimpses of it, but it won't really serve you. So identify whatever you need, want, desire. Step number 2, expand whatever you just identified, wanted, or desired. So like double your vision, just multiply it times 2. So if you said that you wanted to, make another $10,000 this year so that you and your family can take vacation, just double that. Double that to $20,000. This should be a little bit uncomfortable, right? So I have an exercise that I do with people that go through a program that I have called my business club, and what we talk about is wealth creation muscles. But you could apply that not just to finances, right? Because wealth is not just money, to me. It's much, much more than just money. You can apply that to a relationship as well. Maybe, if you've been fairly beaten down in your life, in relationships, sometimes it can be tempting to say what I need, want, or desire is just somebody who doesn't neglect and use me. So you got to expand and stretch that. You got to stretch your vision out here. And I think this is really, really important. We tend to get what we ask for, but we tend to ask for the wrong things or not enough. So you have to stretch yourself here. You have to expand yourself here, and there should be a level of discomfort here, because what comes up is, oh, I could never ask for that much. I could never ask. Oh, that's impossible. That's impossible. That could never show up in my life. We'll talk about the dreaded HOW in just a minute, but it's really, really important to just give yourself permission to expand here. And you don't want to get lost at this point in the process in practicality. You don't want to get lost at this point in the process in how is this going to show up in my life. So you need to expand whatever you just thought of in your vision. The third step is really, really important, because the third step is what supercharges what you just identified. And that is, you must connect the emotional energy behind that which you desire to manifest. So for a long, long time in my life, I thought that I needed to have this, in order to be successful, I needed to be an attorney. I literally thought, I mean, I'm not joking in any way, I thought that. I actually thought that. And I would try to like connect with that, or visualize that, and there was just no juice there. There was no juice there. So what were my options? I could have either created that and been so stifled and suffocated because it wasn't resonant to my soul, or more than likely I would have just struggled and failed and hit obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. Which is what happened when I tried to create that, and those obstacles were brilliant opportunities because they pushed me into a direction that really satisfied me. So, like, closing a door is not always the worst thing that you can do. So you must connect to the emotional energy behind whatever you want to manifest. I promise you this is not about whatever you wrote down in step 1 and 2. Okay. So if you wrote that you want to manifest money, what does that represent for you? It probably represents a sense of emotional freedom, a sense of relief, perhaps a sense of happiness, perhaps a sense of purpose because of the way that you would consciously use that money. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't think money's the problem. I think it's like the wrong people have had the money, and the way that they've used it is egregious. So I don't think as spiritual people, I mean, money is just energy, just like anything else. Just like religion, just like politics, just like business. It's the way that you use it, and if spiritual people don't resolve their fears with money, then the wrong people are going to keep having that money. So connect to whatever it is behind what you want to create. If it's a relationship, that could be a sense of security. That could be a sense of, usually it boils down to, as I learned from Linda Austin, joy, right? Emotional freedom is joy for me. and I should strive to achieve it more often. So what is it, what's behind what you really want to create? Like, people will call me and they'll be like, I want to create a blog. Okay. Why? What's behind that? It's usually because they have a powerful message that they want to share with the world, and they know that it can change lives. So much more powerful. Like, are you going to wake up every day and say, I want to create a blog? Or are you going to wake up every day and say, I want to share my powerful message of transformation with the world? It's not even the same energy. It's not, you can feel literally the difference in those two things. So you must connect with whatever the emotional energy is behind it, and allow yourself to feel that emotional energy. People are afraid of this, because what if it doesn't show up? But the truth is, once you connect with that energy, that fear will evaporate. I promise you. I promise you it will, because your body and your soul will recognize, if you were honest in step 1 and 2, that this is what you're meant to do. so that fear of it won't show up will literally evaporate. And sometimes it's not even about if it shows up, it's about what this process does and where it gets you. So I've used this process, and there are times when I don't get the end result of whatever I identified because it led me to something else. So I need to reboot the process. So it's not just about ends, like means matter. Means matter. So connect to the emotional energy behind what you want to create. Number 4, take courageous action today that moves you toward it. This is really, really important. Because this is where most people can do 1 through 3, and then the action piece breaks down. Because they say, I'll do something tomorrow. Or I'll do it when, this amount's in my checking account. Or I will, do it when I feel more confident. No. That will sabotage your manifesting and your abundance dream every single time. First up, it's not honest, because there is something that you can do today that moves you toward this vision. There is something that you can do today that moves you toward this vision. I was in a training recently with Shanna Sumter, and she said, what are you willing to give to your vision? What are you willing to give to your vision? And that really stuck with me. Because the thing is, nobody's giving more or less to their vision, it's just the differences in what they're giving. Let me see if I can explain that. If you're not giving inspired action to your vision, then you are giving stagnation. If you are not giving love and kindness and building connection to your vision, then you're giving the opposite. So you have to be courageous. I mean, when I looked at my business about 2 years ago, I thought, what am I giving in my vision? I really wasn't pleased with it. I was giving it a whole lot of excuses, that's for sure. I was giving it a whole lot of, gee, I could hire somebody to help me tomorrow. Who was that serving? So you have to be honest about what can I do today and what am I willing to give to my vision. And sometimes you get to this step and you're like, well, I'm not really willing to give this my time or my energy. And that's okay too. That's okay too, because it allows you then to go back and get closer to what you really want. See what I mean? So you have to look really honestly, is this what I really want to be doing? Is this what I really care about at this moment? And is this really in service to my world, to me, to my spirit? So you absolutely have to take courageous action to move yourself toward your vision. You want to manifest a vacation? Put it on your calendar. Put it on your calendar right now. You don't have to wait until the money levels line up exactly as you want them. Right? Set the intention, build the energetic foundation, and take action toward it. I believe that visualization and vision boarding and EFT tapping and meditation are invaluable. And they're invaluable because they're processes that allow you to move through fear, through your resistance, to get into action. Sometimes action can be saying no. Like, so many times people say they have to think about it when they don't at all. So sometimes courageous action can be saying, no. So it's not just about, it doesn't always have to be like writing a gigantic check to something, but there is courageous action that you can take. And also, be supported when you do it. Be supported when you do it. I mean, there are so many people in this community that have their particular expertise helping people through whatever their particular issue is. I mean, this changed my life. When I was like, oh wait, you mean I could get help? And people would be willing to do it? And even honored? And even honored to be a part of my journey? So, courageous action, I mean, that's not about martyrdom. It's not about martyrdom. I was listening to a TED Talk from Emily Levine, and she said if there was a martyrdom Olympics, her grandma would lose on purpose. So it's like, you don't have to take the long way around. And in fact, you shouldn't. And you know what? If that's hiring a coach, that's hiring a coach. If that's going to a weekly support meeting, it's going to that. There are tons of events here. There are online support groups. I mean, there's no excuse for not getting the support in place that you need. Sometimes a scheduled phone call with a friend or an accountability partner can change everything. So just ask yourself, what am I going to give to my vision, and where am I not in courageous action? Where am I not in courageous action? It's also really powerful because when you're in courageous action, you attract other people who are. You attract other people who are. And I have a policy of only surrounding myself with fabulous people. And I don't understand why anyone would not have that policy. Because it just changes everything. And it makes your life such a renewable source of joy for you. The final step in the process is don't micromanage the miracle. Don't micromanage the miracle. And Linda has a really good way of saying this, which I enjoy for two reasons. One, because I find it really profound and motivating, and it helps me make decisions in my life and my business. But number two, because it drives my husband crazy. So it's really like a perfect mix for me. Which is the answer to how is yes. The answer to how is yes. When she said that to me, I was like, I'm going to steal that and always use it. Because it's so powerful to me. Which means that if you want to do something, if you truly desire it, say yes. Say yes to it. And you know, there were moments in my business, there was a point in my business about 3 years ago where I almost gave up. I really almost gave up. And I had clients. And I was making money. But I wasn't making the impact that I wanted to have. I wasn't making the impact that I wanted to have. And that was one of the worst experiences of my life, feeling like you might walk away from that which you really feel called to do. And I thought about, well, what do I want? What do I want? Well, I want good friends, fabulous people, I want a relationship, I want money, I want a successful business. I had no clue how I was going to create any of that, but I did say yes to it. I did say yes to it. And for me, that is spiritual and emotional freedom. Not the things that I have, those could all be taken away. But you know what? I know that I could get them all back. And I know I could get them all back like that. Because I know the process, and I know what it takes. That's freedom. It's not the things that you have, it's knowing you could rebuild. And that's what this process has offered me. So don't micromanage the miracle. This means don't get lost in the practicalities. The universe will show you the way there. So often we say, gee, I really just want to make a little extra money at my job. That's so limiting. That's so limiting. You know, for clothes, all the other amazing possible ways. And when it's in prosperity come into your life. If you want that relationship, what do you really want? You really want your heart to be full. And you probably want to feel like you're contributing to the relationship of someone else and that you're serving. You can do that today. You can access all of these feelings today. And then that allows them to actually show up in your life. That allows them to actually show up in your life. The universe will largely do the work if we, as Sage Levine says, meet it halfway. If we meet it halfway. So, this process is difficult in the sense that there's some emotional purging that happens as you go through it. And there are some deep-seated fears that come up when you go through it. And that's when you go into meditation, that's when you go into visualization, that's when you go into laughter yoga or EFT tapping, whatever the thing is that moves you through the fear, and then you come back to the process. And then you come back to the process. So you have a system for confronting your fears that allows you to move through them. That allows you to move through them. So if you use this process, You identify that which you need, want, and desire. You double it. You expand it. You connect to the emotional energy behind it. You take courageous action, inspired action, empowered action, and you don't micromanage the miracle. Just hit pause a minute on if it even shows up and just think how much better you'll feel. I mean, that in and of itself would be like way more than enough a reason to use this process. But then think about the sense of completion and the sense of satisfaction that you'll get when it shows up, and you have that confidence to reboot the process for something else. And I believe that abundance is three-level, three-tier. I believe it's spiritual, and I believe it all starts there. It all starts there. I mean, I have worked with some incredibly rich people that have no spiritual abundance. And you know what? You wouldn't want their life. However easy you think they have it, I promise you, you don't want it. So you must start with spiritual abundance. I mean, for me, I want to be abundantly kind. That's my core motivator. And that's the planet I want to live on. You know, that's the planet I want to live on. Then there's material abundance. There's material abundance, and I think that's very different. You know, my idea of material abundance is the downtown loft that we have. My husband's idea of it is a farm very, very far away from the downtown loft that we have. So, you know, it's very, very different. Some people like very elaborate surroundings, and some people like, you know, very, very simple surroundings. It's not someone else's definition of success. And all success is a state of being that you achieve with consistent right thinking, and that's all success is. So, you have your material abundance, the things that you need to make you comfortable. And I do the things that I need to make me comfortable so that I can continue to serve. And then the third thing is planetary abundance. And I think that's sometimes where the secret is missing it. That it limits us to this conversation about personal stuff and personal prosperity. And for me and my spirituality, that's not enough. That's not enough. I think if spirituality becomes myopic, if it becomes narcissistic, it collapses. It absolutely collapses. Someone else's needless suffering is our business. So I also believe that there's planetary abundance. But if you don't have the first one, it's going to be incredibly hard to actualize the other two, or to enjoy them and really resonate with them when they show up. So, for me, there's not much of a disconnect between the abundance that I want in my spirit and the abundance that I want to see on my planet. You know, it's not, we have most of the solutions to all the problems that we have. We're missing step 4, we're not necessarily taking courageous action to move ourselves closer to it in the way that I think that we could. But we largely have all the solution, and I think oftentimes that's how it works for our life. Sometimes we have a knowledge deficit, but usually we have the knowledge and there's some other blockage that's preventing us from getting it. So I hope that you'll use the process. I hope that it's got you thinking about abundance in a little bit of a deeper way, and I hope it's shown you that, to me, abundance is really a foundational principle when it comes to all of this other work that we do. And I hope you'll use it to get more abundance in your lives. So thank you so much for having me today.